Hello and welcome back. Now today I'd like to talk about ignition modules, since recently we had to deal with it on this truck. Now ignition modules are kind of a commonly overlooked part of your ignition setup, especially on HEI. And a lot of people just skip it. Now it's very important. It's not only basically somewhat of a voltage regulator, but it's also a dual circuit, and it helps the performance of the HEI and the coil. Now, beforehand, back with the earlier HEIs, a lot of people didn't like them because you couldn't get much performance at 5,000 plus RPMs. Well, with today's aftermarket, you can exceed upwards 7,000 RPMs and still gain plenty of performance. Now, what we have on this truck is a Hypertech 55,000 volt coil upgrade kit. So it was everything except for the module. And the module is a Summit Racing high output module. It's a 4-pin. Now, a lot of people will upgrade their ignition, their distributor. A lot of people will buy a cap and a rotor and a coil, and they will not replace the module. The module is extremely important to replace. If you upgrade everything else, I'd go ahead and upgrade it to replace it. That way, you know it's good. Now, if you have the old one and it's still good and there wasn't nothing wrong with it, it's not a bad idea to keep it in your glove box just in case the other one goes out on you. In this case, what happened was I had the 150 amp alternator on this truck. Well, the belt flung off about 6,400 RPMs. So it had a huge voltage spike. Well, it burnt up the regulator. Then it proceeded to burn up the module. Now, if you never had an ignition module go out, a lot of times you could say it's almost like running out of gas. But you're still getting gas, but you're not getting no fire, and everything else checks out okay. Now, sometimes you can actually wait. If the ignition module is bad, but it's not completely gone, the heat will actually cause it to wear out, and it'll die on you, and then it'll start again once it cools off. Now, one kind of telltale sign that it is the ignition module is actually if you have a tach, the needle will actually bounce around oddly, which it was doing on us before we took off. We went down the street and it died on us. And I started noticing that the needle was bouncing around, and it made no correlation to actually probably where I should have been to my speed that I was going. So that was a good sign right there, and the fact that I could let it cool off and it started. It obviously, I turned the key, there's fuel in the fuel filter, fuel in the bowl, so we knew it had gas, so it had a spark issue. So with the way the tach was acting, had to be the ignition module, changed it, we're good to go. Now, not only will voltage spikes hurt your module, but so will heat. And with heat, you need basically dielectric grease or a heat resistant grease that you buy specifically for the module to put under the module before you set down on the distributor for heat transfer from the module, so your module doesn't burn up. That's very important to do and check if you get a new distributor or if you change your module. Make sure you have that. Sometimes your modules, when you buy them new, they don't come with the stuff, so make sure you go ahead and buy a little packet of it. It's cheap. That way you can go ahead and put it on. Before you put the module on, put it on the back side of the module, put the module in, and you know you're good to go. Now, that's usually two things other than age that wears out modules. Now, there may be a few other things, but voltage spike and heat can be a real killer on modules, so make sure you got everything correct. Now, like I said, having a backup module in the glove box is not a bad idea either. But if you ever run in that situation, if you die on the road and you can't figure it out, if you never replaced your module and you upgraded everything else, odds are it could be the module. Now, if you threw the alternator belt, spiked the regulator, and burnt up the regulator and you had to have your alternator rebuilt, you should probably go ahead and replace the module just in case, because it may not be out then, but it probably is going out. Now hopefully this information proved helpful to you, and as always, thanks for watching.